So we will start on our backs in constructive rest. So come down onto your mat. Take your time as you find your way there. Step your feet out nice and wide to the outer edges of your mat, or just as wide as you like to place your feet. And then let your knees drop in towards each other. Let everything else find a nice, comfortable position. As your body starts to settle in and everything starts to quiet down just a little bit, take a quick little assess, tune in and notice, does anything need a little readjust? Do you need to reposition your shoulders, your feet, whatever the case may be? And then see if once you've rearranged, can you allow your back, your hips, the backs of your ribs and the backs of your shoulders to just get really heavy into the ground? So almost with a sense of deliberateness, like a letting go of the front of the body so that the back half of the body can just sink into the floor. And then if you've found that soft sinking in sensation, so the back of the body is nice and heavy into the ground, you might have noticed it brought a softer sense into the abdomen. So keep the abdomen soft if you can, and then see if you can just tune in to the rib cage. So belly is soft, back of the body is heavy into the ground. And then can you just watch the breath coming in and out and notice the movement in your rib cage? Keeping the feet soft, hips soft, belly soft and heavy. Now, can you take your right hand, reach it over and across, find the left side of your ribs, fan your fingers out nice and wide, spread your fingers onto your ribs, and then come back to your breath. Take a nice, generous inhale, fill your lungs up. Nice, slow exhale, let the ribs move with your breath. Nice, big, deep inhale, fill your lungs up. Exhale and notice the movement of your ribs. One more breath. And then when you're ready, release your right hand and then take it right over to the left. So left hand's going to reach across to the right side of the ribs. Fan your fingers out nice and wide. So find a good spread on the ribs. Take a second to make sure that's a good handhold and then come back to your breath. Generous inhale, fill your lungs up. Slow but natural exhale, notice the movement in your ribs. 2 more cycles of breath. Awesome. And then when you're ready, one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart with a gentle handhold. Just take a moment here to set an intention to honor your mind and your body throughout your practice. Never doing anything in your practice that would cause your body pain, and treating yourself with love, care, and respect. Nice. And then with that intention set, arms are going to come up into cactus or goalpost position, but then we're going to kind of just wiggle around in the shoulders just for a second to make sure the back of the body feels like it's in a good and comfortable position. And then we're going to kind of go scarecrow with the arms. So in that cactus or goalpost position, now we're going to float the fingertips like the fingertips are reaching up towards the ceiling. So just so that they line up with the elbows. and then bring the hands back down slow and controlled so that the backs of the hands find the floor again, or whatever reach that your arms allow. Fingertips are going to reach up towards the ceiling, just a little rotation in the shoulder, and then let the backs of the hands release back down to the ground with control. And do that one more time. Fingertips up towards the ceiling. Hands release back down to the ground. And now we're going to take it like the upper body into a good morning stretch. So hands are going to stay as heavy down into the ground as they can. Stretch your arms up like you're reaching up above your head. And then when you're ready, exhale and pull the elbows back down in line with the shoulders. Inhale and stretch your arms up. Get that nice long reach through the arms. Exhale, pull the elbows back down in line with the shoulders. Awesome. Do that one more time. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale to pull the arms down. And now we're going to go right into those I Dream of Jeannie arms, or bring it into that square across the chest. Once you've got your handhold, start to pull your elbows side to side, seeing if you can bring the elbow across the midline of the body, but keeping your hips anchored and your low back anchored onto the ground. So if you feel like the upper body wants to move a little bit, go ahead and let it. But if you can, keep the bottom half of your body nice and heavy into the ground. Wonderful. Take one more pull of the elbows side to side. And then we're going to let the arms come out into anatomical position just to give it a little rest, and then take it right into some windshield wipers with the knees. So start to drop your knees side to side. Start with a small and slow range of motion. Give everything a little bit of time to find its way. And then as the body starts to warm up a little bit, then increase your range of motion. Beautiful. Take one more rock of the knees side to side. And then the next time you come to center, walk your feet in. So feet are now going to be about hip width distance apart. And now we're going to flip the palms and slide the hands in. So palms facing down, hands alongside the hips, so arms a little closer to the sides of the body. And now we're going to reach. So we're going to keep our head connected to the floor, hips connected to the floor, but reach your fingertips towards your heels. So you're going to feel your shoulder heads pull down away from your ears. Reach, reach, reach through the fingertips. And then relax that position, let your shoulders come back to neutral. Hands alongside the hips, or reach through the fingertips, reaching towards the heels. So you're going to feel the shoulder heads pull down. And then when you're ready, release, let the shoulder heads relax. And then do that one more time. Reach through the fingertips, reaching toward your heels. Come back to that neutral position, move right into pelvic tilt. Exhale, press your low back into the ground. Inhale, release to the natural curve of your back. Exhale, press your low back down. Inhale, release to the natural curve of your back. Do that one more time. Exhale, press. Inhale, release, keep neutral spine. And now we're going to reach right fingertips towards the heel and then turn your head to the left. So you're going to reach your fingertips, right fingertips towards right heel, head turns to the left. Inhale, bring it back to center. And we're going to switch sides. Left fingertips are going to reach towards the heel, head turns to the right, bring it back to center. And then we're going to switch. Right fingertips towards the heel, head turns to the left, and release back to center. Left fingertips towards the heel, head turns to the right. Bring it back to center. One more time each side. Right fingertips, head turns to the left. Bring it back to center. Left fingertips to the heel, head turns to the right. Bring it back to center. Nice. And then as your head comes back to center, now both fingertips are going to reach towards the heels, nice and active. So we're going to reach through the fingertips, which means your hands might be off the ground. Shoulder heads are drawing down away from the ears. Hold it there for one more moment. And then when you're ready, release, let your arms settle back down onto the ground, rearrange your shoulder blades, make sure everything feels good. We're going to come back to pelvic tilt, but we're going to reverse the breath. So we're going to inhale as we press the low back into the ground. Exhale, release to the natural curve of your back. Inhale, press your low back into the ground. Exhale to release. One more like that. Inhale, press your low back into the ground. Exhale to release. And now we're going to inhale, press the low back into the ground. Hold that position. Hold your low back pressed in the ground. Feel, just tune in and notice inner thighs, quadriceps. Notice where in the body is all fired up. And then keep that fired up position, but see if you can find a natural rhythm of breath here. So inner thighs are going to stay engaged, back is pressing into the ground, which means abdominal muscles might be slightly engaged. Take a nice big inhale. Can you hold all of that activity? Hold all of that activity and exhale nice and slow. 2 more cycles of breath just like that. Nice. And now can you hold all of that activity or just keep that slight firmness in your center? Press your arms into the ground and we're going to float the right knee up. So everything else is going to stay as stable as again. You're going to float the right knee up into a half tabletop position and then float the right foot back down to the ground. Take it to the left. Lift the left leg up and then float that foot back down. So everything else is staying as strong and stable as it can. Back to the right. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale to lower down. Over to the left, inhale, lift up. Exhale to lower down. Nice. One more time each side. Over to the right. Inhale and lift up. Exhale to lower down. Back to the left. Inhale, lift up. Exhale to lower down. And now we're going to relax that position. So relax your ribs, relax your belly, relax your hips. Bring your right knee up to your chest. And then the hands are going to do the heavy lifting here. So you're going to let your arms do the work. Let your leg be relaxed. Draw your right knee in circles. Go in one direction. One more circle around. And then when you're ready, reverse directions, go the other way. One more circle around in this direction. And then we're going to take that knee and swing it out just a little bit, pass it back to center. Swing it out just a little bit, pass it back to center, swing it out this time, stay there. So we're going to take the knee towards the shoulder just a little bit. So a little bit more opening in the hip, and then circle your foot, go in one direction. Awesome. Circle your foot, go the other way. Nice. And then when you're ready, bring that foot back to center, release the foot down over to the other side. So left knee is going to come into the chest, get your handhold, arms are going to do the work here. Take that knee, draw it in circles, go in one direction. Take your knee, draw it in circles, go the other way. Awesome. And then we're going to swing it out. So we're going to take it out to the left just a little bit, pass it back into center, swing it out just a little bit, pass it back to center, swing it out just a little bit, pass it back to center, and then swing it out and then bring the knee towards the shoulder just a little bit. So we open the hip up just a little bit more and then circle your foot, go in one direction. Circle your foot, go the other way. Nice. And then when you're ready, pull that knee back into the chest and we're going to move right into wind relieving pose. So you can stick with a bent knee position if that feels like a nice range of motion to be in, or you can start to extend a little bit long. So as you pull the knee into the chest, the other leg is going to reach towards the end of your mat. You choose the variation there that feels the best to you. A bent knee position might feel a little bit nicer and a little gentler and a little bit more supportive to the low back. So you find the variation that is going to work good for you this morning. Beautiful. Take one more time each side, and then we're going to pull both knees into the chest. So once you feel ready, gently draw the knees into the chest, and then start to take your knees, draw them in circles, go in one direction. Take your knees, draw them in circles, go the other way. Awesome. And then we're going to roll over onto our side into a fetal posture. So roll over onto your right or to your left. We're going to do both sides, so it doesn't really matter which. And then maybe the bottom arm is going to support the head, or it'll be out in front of you. You just choose what feels good to your head. And then once you feel like you've got a good position, hand to the hip. We're going to keep our knees stacked, hip stacks just to start, so we find that position. And then imagine that hand is pushing your hip forward to drive that knee past the bottom knee. And then pull the hip back. Let your hand kind of help guide you. Push your hip forward, knee drives past the bottom knee. Pull the hip back. Do that one more time. Push the knee forward, pull the hip back, and then restack. So knees are stacked, hips are stacked. And then just if that bottom arm is underneath your head, maybe release it out in front of you. And we're going to open up into a little thoracic twist. So rearrange that bottom arm in a way that works good for you. And then that top hand is going to reach behind you, and think about keeping your legs nice and heavy. Now with that bottom arm, if it feels better to anchor the legs, you're going to reach that right hand to the outsides of the thighs to keep your legs anchored, and then let your left shoulder, or your top shoulder, your top hand open out nice and wide, and then maybe turn your head to look towards that hand. Take 2 more cycles of breath. Nice. And then bring it back in nice and slow. And we're going to take that top hand. So you might choose to release that bottom arm if it was holding onto the thighs. And we're going to circle the hand around. So you almost want to try to keep your fingertips touching the ground just as far as it can. Circle all the way around until it can't touch the floor anymore, and then swing it towards the hip. Circle it all the way around, touching the floor if you can, until it can't anymore, and then swing it around. And then one more time in that direction. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to roll over onto the other side. So I'm going to flip around just so I'm facing out to the camera, but you flip around in a way that works good for you. Find your fetal posture, arm under the head or arm out in front of you. That's totally up to you. Take a second to find it. Knees stacked, hips stacked to start. And then find your handhold on your hip, and then imagine you're pushing your hip forward. So push that top knee past the bottom knee, and then pull that hip back. Nice. Push the knee forward. Pull the hip back, push your knee forward, pull your hip back, and then restack. So knees are stacked, hips are stacked, and then releasing that arm so that you're having a little freedom to get into that thoracic twist. Take that top hand, reach it behind you, open up just as far as feels good to you. And then with that bottom hand, if it feels better to anchor your legs down into the ground. Once you're there, find your breath. 3 nice, big, generous inhales. Beautiful. When you're ready, release it all back. So if you're holding onto your legs, go ahead and release that. Float that hand back in, and now we're going to circle that arm around. So hand is going to find the ground, circle it, touching the floor just as far as you can go, and then release it, swing it all the way around. 2 more circles in that direction. Nice. And then when you're ready, slowly and mindfully bring it back onto your back side. So we're going to come back onto our back. Knees are going to be bent, and we're going to take it into our little half bridge. So hands alongside the hips, palms pressing into the earth. We're going to inhale at the bottom, exhale, and lift up to that halfway point. So we're going to try to keep the backs of the ribs kind of reaching down towards the ground. They might lift a little bit, but we want to think heavy in the sternum, and then inhale, release back down. Exhale to lift to that halfway point. Inhale to release back down. And do one more just like that. Exhale to lift, just come to that halfway point. Inhale, release to come back down. And then we're going to pull the knees into the chest, one light little squeeze, and then we're going to start to rock and roll our way up into a seated ragdoll. So take a couple of good rocks and rolls, come up to a seated position that works good for you. Big, giant, generous bend of the knees, and then step your feet to a width that works good. So you have plenty of space for the belly and the chest. Once you've got it, fold yourself over in a position that feels soft and gentle. Let your handhold be the toes, the shins, the floor, just whatever works good for you. And then just come back to your breath for a moment here. Nice, generous inhale. Nice, slow exhale. Take one more breath. And then slowly start to walk yourself up and in. We're going to step the right knee in, but wide, and then let the left leg go nice and long. So once you've got your little handhold there, we're going to rotate towards that right knee. So left hand's going to wrap around, Rotate just as far as feels good to you. Then think about getting nice and tall here. Maybe you push into your hand or just reach up through the crown of your head. Take one good breath. Beautiful. And then slowly and mindfully release. Send that right leg out nice and long. Step the left leg in. So we're stepping in but wide. And then once you've got that position, rotate to the left. Right hand wraps around. Think about that nice tall spine. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Awesome. Return back to center. Send that leg nice and long. Give everything a little wiggle, little bounce. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your ankles, bounce your knees. And then when you're ready, we're going to find our way into a tabletop position. So spin your legs around. Take your time as you come there. And then if you need to cushion your knees or cushion your wrists, take a second to make sure you do that for yourself. Great. And then once you found your way into your tabletop position, we're just going to slide the right leg back, toes curled under, and take a few gentle rocks forward and back. Beautiful. One more rock forward and back. And then when you're ready, slide that leg in, switch to the other side. Left leg slides back, toes curled under, rock yourself forward and back. Beautiful. One more rock forward and back, and then slide that leg in, and we're going to move right into our puppy pose. So hips are going to stay fairly in line with the knees. Walk your hands out to the top edge of your mat, but position your arms so they're as wide as feels good to you. I like a nice wide position. I like to place my hands to the outer edges of my mat. So make sure that you have this ability to snuggle your shoulders in, soften your chest down, and then take 3 nice big breaths here. Beautiful. When you're ready, slowly and mindfully bring it back up to your tabletop position. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. So we're going to step the right foot into a lunging position, but think a 90-90 lunge, and then come up to that high kneel position. And then we're going to take 3 dips of that knee. So we're going to lean the knee forward just to a point that feels safe to your knee. It's okay to let your knee go past your toe, but just make sure it feels good in your body. Lean yourself forward just a little bit. Bring it back in one more time, just like that. Lean in. Bring it back in. And now we're going to toe heel the foot out, and we're going to skip that middle point, and we're just going to toe heel it out as wide as feels right to you. Once you've got the width that feels good to you, lean out just a little bit. Push yourself back up. Lovely. Lean out just a little bit and come back up. One more just like that. Lean out just a little bit. Come back up, and then in this outer position, we're going to take our right elbow to the knee. So think ribs lifting up and away from the thigh, elbow touches down to the knee, but we stay light and lifted away from the thigh. Reach your left hand up, get a nice gentle side bend, draw that top thumb back, maybe turn your head up to the sky, take a nice big breath in, slow breath out. Wonderful. And then we're just going to spin the hands around and down. So hands are going to find the ground. And then we're going to step that right leg back into tabletop position. Bop your hips a little side to side. Nothing fancy going on today. And then when you're ready, left foot's going to step forward. So we're going to find that lunging position. Lift yourself on up. And then when you're ready, lean yourself forward. Knee goes past the toe if it feels safe. Bring yourself back up with control. Lean yourself forward. Bring it back with control. One more time here, lean forward. Come back with control, and then toe heel that foot out to the widest position that feels good to you. Once you've got yourself there, lean yourself out. Come back up and in. Lean yourself out and come back in. Awesome. One more time. Come back in, and then in that more upright position, think ribs up and away from the thigh, left elbow to the knee, right hand reaches up, get that side bend. And then if it feels good, top thumb pulls back, turn your head, look up towards the sky. Nice. And then when you're ready, spin your hands down to the ground, swing that left leg back, find your tabletop position, and then bop your hips a little bit side to side. Awesome. One more bop of the hips side to side, and then we're going to go right to extended child's pose. So big toes together, knees to the outer edges of your mat. Pull your butt back to your heels. Let your belly, your chest, your forehead sink down, and take 3 nice big breaths. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, start to lift yourself back up with control. We're going to spin the legs out and around so that we can sit back onto our butt and then just find your way back down to the ground. So take your time. We're going to come to a bent knee position, take a little figure four before we finish our practice. So come down nice and slow and controlled onto your back. Take a second, wriggle your shoulders, make sure everything feels good. And then when you feel like you're there, right leg across the left, we're going to lift the left leg up. Pause for a moment in that middle point without your hands holding that position and just notice your knee, notice your foot, notice the outer edge of your hip. And then if things are feeling really good and you're like, I can go further from here, thread your hands through. But if you feel like this has already become a little bit intense, set your foot down and push the knee open. But if it feels good to be in that position, thread your hands through, bring it into your comfort level, soften your shoulders, soften your abdomen, soften your jaw. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, release. Step your right foot off and we're going to come right to the other side. So left leg is going to come across the right. Notice how that feels. Lift the right leg up, come to that halfway point. Notice how that feels. If this is already too intense, set your foot down, hand to the inner thigh and stay there. But if it feels good and you want more, thread your hands through, draw it into your comfort level, shoulders soft, abdomen soft. Take one more breath. And then we're going to release, but we're going to take it into a wide leg position. So if you can, release that figure four, float your feet up to the sky. From there, open your legs out nice and wide, and then hands are going to find the inner thighs. So we are not going to push our inner thighs and try to get some extreme stretch here. We're going to just let the legs fall to a position that feels comfortable, that you can still kind of breathe comfortably in and relax in. And then hands are going to find the inner thighs and just let the weight of your hands rest on your inner thighs. Take one more breath. And now we're going to get active with this position before we come out. So with your hands on the inner thighs, now hands are going to create a slight bit of resistance and inner thighs are going to push into the hands. So hands are going to resist, inner thighs push in. Notice that firing up of those inner thigh muscles. Hold that position for one more cycle of breath. And then when you're ready, relax the inner thighs, hands to the outer thighs, pull the legs together, bend the knees, bring them into the chest. Give yourself a light little squeeze. And then release your feet down to the ground and start to find your way to your Shavasana, the Shavasana that's going to feel best to you. So you might choose to come to constructive rest. That's nice and supportive to the low back. You might choose to take that more traditional shape, creates a little length in the body, or any other variation of the body that feels really good to you and allows you to find a little stillness. start to bring your awareness back into your body. But to the best of your ability, as you start to bring your awareness back into your physical body, can you keep your body still, resisting that urge to just get right back to it? And can you just take 3 intentional cycles of breath? So just watching your inhalation, noticing your exhalation, and then when you feel ready, start to awaken the fingers, awaken the toes, just invite a gentle bit of movement into the feet, into the hands. And then while the feet and hands are moving in any organic way, maybe start to turn your head a little side to side. Beautiful. And then bring some bigger movements in. Maybe move your wrists, move your ankles, move your knees, move your hips. Any bit of movement here that feels good to you. And then we're going to start to find our way to a fetal position. So if you like just a little bit of directed work, you're going to step your left foot or your right foot in, just whatever side you like to roll onto. So if you're going to roll to the right, step your left foot in. If you're going to roll to your left, step your right foot in. Doesn't matter which way you like to go. And then you're going to push into that foot. So the leg that's bent, you're going to push into that foot. Let your hip lift. You want to almost feel the whole butt lift up and off the ground. And then with control, roll onto your side and then pause in a fetal position. So let your head rest. Let your hand rest on the ground. And even if it feels good, close your eyes down for a moment and just get that sense of grounding. Let your hand touch the floor. Take a nice deep breath in. Nice slow breath out. And then when you feel ready, push into that hand, lift your way up to a seated position. So maybe Sukhasana with legs crossed can be comfortable for some, but it's not great for everybody's hips and knees. So any seated position that feels really nice to you. Once you found your way there, come into that nice upright spine. Take your left hand, reach across, find the right side of the neck. With a gentle handhold, just turn your head gently side to side. Beautiful. One more turn of the head side to side. And then as your head returns to center, switch to the other side. Right hand reaches across to the left side of the neck, just a gentle handhold, and then turn your head side to side. Awesome. And then when you're ready, head to neutral, let your hands just either rest palms facing down if you feel like a little bit of grounding today would do you good, or palms facing up if you feel like a sense of open and spaciousness would do you good. So you choose the variation that feels good to you. And then if it feels good to do so, close your eyes down, take a nice deep breath in, slow breath out. One more cycle of breath here. And then on your next inhalation, gather your hands together at heart center, prayer hands to heart center and Anjali Mudra, and bow your head to your heart. Breathing in love and gratitude for yourself, for your mind, for your body, and for the time that you take to take care of yourself. Take one more nice big inhale, allowing the shoulders to lift, maybe even scrunch up your face a little bit. And then as you exhale, let it all go. Soften the shoulders, soften your face, and think about letting go of anything you're holding on to that won't serve you through the rest of your day. And then when you feel ready, gently lift up to the top of your head, gently open your eyes. I bow to you. Happy Saturday. I hope that wasn't too gentle.